What's up? Welcome to the Tedeschi Trucks podcast. This is episode number 31, and I am Adam Choit. To follow this show, it's at Tedeschi Trucks Podcast on Instagram, and I'm at Adam Choit on Instagram as well if you want to follow me. And I'm on Twitter too. That's another place where I post episodes when when new episodes drop. And my Twitter is also at Adam Choit. And of course, I have no affiliation with Tedeschi Trucks Band. This is not an official podcast for the band or anything. I'm just a fan. And if you're listening to this, I'm guessing there's a good chance that you might be too. So please be sure to subscribe to the show and give it a positive review on iTunes as well. Doing those things is definitely helpful. I also want to say that I definitely appreciate everyone's support out there. And also that I'm very much open to ideas from you guys, the listeners, for ideas for future episodes, and also help with booking guests. I'm not expecting you guys to give me a direct line to Derek Trucks per se, but I'm definitely always down to talk to other musicians, journalists, tapers, photographers, gear experts, other people in the music business, and of course other hardcore Tedeschi Trucks band fans. So definitely hit me up if you have ideas for the show or suggestions or feedbacks or criticism. I'd love to hear from you guys. And you know how to find me, Instagram, Twitter, whatever, social media and the Facebook groups. And before we dig in today, just wanted to say happy birthday to Ephraim Owens. He just celebrated a birthday. And a happy early birthday to Susan Tedeschi. That's coming up. Be sure to check out the Susan Tedeschi fan page on Facebook, where I'm sure they will be celebrating, as well as in all the Tedeschi Trucks fan groups on Facebook and all the different circles on social media. So today's episode is going to be a solo episode with just me, and it's going to be all about the super talented saxophone player and now sometimes flute player in Tedeschi Trucks band, Kebbi Williams. I don't believe I've ever spoke to Kebbi or had a conversation with him. Maybe because the few times I've seen him in passing, he's always had sunglasses on. So I've been like, it's kind of hard. It makes it harder to approach people. Maybe that's just me. But he seems like a great dude from everything I hear and see and read and about the guy. I think he did like a couple of posts or Instagram stories that I posted for the podcast, so I definitely appreciate that for sure. And I had a previous conversation. I forget actually who the guest was that I was talking to about this, but I was wondering, did Kebbi learn flute specifically or pick up flute specifically for Tedeschi Trucks band and sort of to do the idle wind part on flute? But he's had flute experiences and he's played multiple instruments in his life, so it's no surprise that he was able to pick up that or pick it back up, so to speak, I guess. But there's a couple of sources that I use for this episode. I'm going to actually play some audio clips from an interview that Kebbi did, and I'm also going to play some music audio clips as well, clips from live shows of him playing saxophone, and even maybe some flute. We'll see. But looking at this website, musicintheparkatl.org, which is Kebbi Williams' one of his causes, right there on that website, there's a pretty good bio of Kebbi. So I'm just going to sort of read some of it and go through some of it and comment on it. And I'm going to actually incorporate some audio clips from this interview, and I'll give credit to that interview when I get to it. But Kebbi Williams was born into a musical family. His father, Earl Williams, an inventive multi-instrumentalist who plays bass, keys, banjo, harmonica, flute, and saxophone, taught Kebbi music. The tenor saxophone that Kebbi plays is from Earl. A rarity from the 1920s era, a Con M, it's the only saxophone Kebbi's played. Earl also taught his brother, Milan Williams, who's Kebbi's uncle, how to play music. Milan was an original member of the Commodores and composed their breakout hit Machine Gun, as well as the pair of epic soul funk classics, Brick House and Easy Like Sunday Morning. And I came across this interview that Kebbi did, which was posted on YouTube in 2019. And it was a video, actually, a video interview. And it was taped at the Arts Exchange in East Point, Georgia, on Adrian Coleman YouTube channel. And the interviewer's Santiago Paramo, who was an Arts Exchange board member and a musician himself. So I hope he's cool with me using some of these clips for this episode, but I think it would be a cool thing to do for this episode to incorporate some interesting audio clips from the man himself, Kebbi, as well as share some of his music with you guys and talk about that. So this first clip that I'm going to share is Kebbi talking about loving TV as a kid and loving music as well, and sometimes getting in trouble as well.
And so I always loved music because our generation was a big TV generation. And when I would get in trouble, my mom would put me on punishment. There'd be no TV. So I had to go to my room and it would just be music. And I think I fell in love with music before I started to play. In like second grade, I'd be on punishment. I remember like just listening to music and being like, I love this, man. And then I just like loved it. So when my mom realized that I love music, she was like, okay, no radio also, because I'm having a good time with music, instead of television.
That's funny. Funny story for sure. So this next clip I'm going to play is Kebbi talking about his interest in drums and that becoming an interest in saxophone. And kind of that early part of his life as a kid. So here you go.
My father's a musician. He plays saxophone. He was a music major, and he has a master's degree. So he taught, and he learned all the instruments. So he plays piano, bass, sax, clarinet. And so growing up with him, my parents split when I was 2. So he had his place, and my mother had her place, and I stayed with her most of the times. But when I was at my father's house, there was a piano there, there's a drum set there, there's a studio equipment there, and I would hear him rehearse. And this was before I touched any instruments. I was just a kid, being around my dad here and there. And I think I hit the 4th grade, I decided to join the band, and I took my dad's snare drum. I wanted to be a drummer, like a lot of boys do. And so went to school, joined the band, and there were like 15 drummers, kids trying to learn how to play snare. Some guys were good, and I could never get the drum roll down. I was like, so I was like way in the back of the line. So there was a couple of guys who could really play things, and I couldn't. And so I said, Dad, let me grab your saxophone. Because there was this one guy that the band director used to always talk, because the drummers, we would play and the horseplay and stuff, and we always got in trouble. And the one, he would always talk about this guy, Stephen Hope. And y'all need to be like Stephen Hope. He's so good, he's obedient, he does what he's supposed to do. And y'all back there bad and playing. And I said, well, my dad plays sax, let me get a sax. So my dad gave me an alto. I didn't know at that time the difference between the saxophones. And I just wanted to be with Stephen Hope, who played tenor. My dad gave me an alto. And when I got to school with my alto, they said, and I just had never even seen all those girls over there. Because I used to just look at Stephen Hope. And there was like a line of girls playing alto saxophone. And I was like, oh man, this is the one I want to sit with Stephen. But I stuck with it. And I learned a little bit, And I was still in the back of the line with the girls also, because I was just beginning.
Yeah, but I wonder where Stephen Hope is today. He's not in Tedeschi Trucks band. That'll show people. But it's cool to hear about the early days and literally how Kebbi got into playing saxophone. And going back to the article here, or not the article, but the bio, Kebbi's bio here on the Music in the Park ATL website. They talk about family, and you can hear just from those 2 clips how important, how much of an influence Kebbi's father and his family had on him, especially with the music aspect of his life. But reading from his bio here, family is a unifying theme for Kebbi. and shared by his love for Atlanta, where he's from in Georgia, in that part of the country. In 2010, Williams founded the nonprofit organization Music in the Park Atlanta. Their mission: enlighten, educate, and galvanize young performers while inspiring vibrancy in the community through music and the performing arts. Music in the Park Atlanta has supported nearly 6,000 students, engaged over 500 professional musicians, and presented live music to over 80,000 people since its inception 9 years ago. Music in the Park begun in response to the absence of music education in schools and limited arts programming in Kebbi's West End neighborhood, which is constantly evolving and expanding for the next generation of musicians. Kebbi Williams, and we'll get into a little bit more about Kebbi himself and some of his music, and I'm just going to continue to read here. But that's great work that he's doing for sure with that nonprofit. Kebbi continues to do what he has always done: break down barriers and push boundaries, both with his music and vibrant social consciousness for his hometown and beyond. Grammy award-winning tenor saxophonist Kebbi Williams is one of contemporary music's whirlwind improvisers. The imaginative multi-instrumentalist, composer, producer, arranger, teacher resists categorization. His innovative sound dives, blends, and jumpstarts all music genres. Kebbi bends it to his will with his robust, distinct blasts. His playing and compositions create a sound that is uniquely and undeniably his own. Avant-garde jazz, hip-hop, Afrobeat, gospel, electronica, classical, and fiery rock are all loops that Kebbi interweaves with passion and edge. That's well articulated. That's what I need to get better at, is talking about music, which I've talked about how it's hard to talk about music, but that is quite an accurate description of Kebbi, I would say, for sure. The Atlanta native received both an undergraduate degree and master's in jazz studies from the prestigious Howard University. More on Howard to come. But at the age of 22, he won the Jazz Instrumental Soloist Category College Division Award from Downbeat Magazine. More on that as well soon. Kebbi launched his professional career as a much in-demand studio and touring musician. In addition to, of course, Kebbi's work with TTB, he has worked with Outkast, the legendary Donald Byrd, CeeLo Green, Mos Def, Oteil Burbridge, John Legend, Lionel Richie, Janelle Monáe, and many, many other talented artists. And he has a bunch of other side projects and bands. Whose Hat Is This? Gallery 992. Or is it 992? I'm not sure, to be honest. And the Wolfpack as well, his band based in Atlanta, I believe. Basically, he's a busy dude and a talented dude, and he's been producing and playing great music for a long time now. But what I'd like to do is, again, go back, because I got some good clips here from Kebbi talking about his early days. So let's talk about kind of where he was musically, or not let's talk, but I'm going to play a clip of Kebbi talking about kind of where he was musically around the 7th grade.
So 7th grade was when I started to like it. In the 8th grade summer, I went to a camp for music and played like all summer long. And when I got to the 9th grade, I was first chair because no other kids practiced ever. And over the summer.
So were you playing alto at the time, or you?
Alto. Yeah. I didn't switch to tenor until college. Mm-hmm. So when I became first chair, then it was like, oh, I'm somebody, I'm something.
Again, I'm so interested in hearing about stuff like that, which is information that you might not be able to find in just by Googling, but I'm glad I sat down and took the time to listen to this whole interview to hear stuff like that. Like, I'm sure it was amazing for Kebbi to win a Grammy and play with all these super talented artists later in his life, but becoming first chair in, 7th grade, 8th grade, whatever it was, I'm sure that probably meant a lot to him too. And I wonder if it sort of gives him or gives artists the same sort of sense of accomplishment or they feel just as proud for those accomplishments, in their life that seem, it seems less a big deal to become first chair in middle school than it is to achieve career success. But at the time, I'm sure that was a big deal to him. But moving on to like high school age, he joined a band and they played at homecoming. And here's Kebbi talking about that.
And we did the coordination at the assembly for homecoming. And it was my first time ever playing in front of people. And I played like the KG thing, and I just did like a little KG trick, like a little flutter or something. And the whole school was like, ah, he's awesome. And I was like, whoa, I think this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And so then I got serious, and that's when I found Miles. After I decided, all right, I'm going to be a musician, start practicing. This is cool. It was easy for me too. My first time I ever took a solo sounded good to me. I didn't feel like, oh, this is hard, I can't do it.
Felt really natural to you.
Yeah, because we practiced scales from elementary school. And I just knew, just playing the scale, like I could just hear like the keys in that scale.
Mm-hmm.
And I just knew, well, I'll just press the buttons of this scale and I'm not going to worry about any of the other notes. I kind of knew that right away.
Yeah.
Only if it could come that naturally to all of us. But yeah, no, that's cool. It's funny that he describes music that way because, I sometimes try to play scales and stay within the key on guitar. But just because I'm playing notes within a certain scale and soloing, that doesn't mean I'm making music or something good. And it sounds like instantly what he played captivated people. And it's amazing to hear, artists hear about those, talk about those significant moments in their lives. And this next clip is about Kebbi's time at Howard University, talking about when he was a freshman and being the bold saxophone player he was, he attempted to jam with some seniors, and that might not have exactly gone how, that did not go exactly how he planned. And he talks about that being sort of a learning experience for him and forcing him to work harder. So let's listen to that.
And I went to an upperclassmen jam session with upperclassmen people playing. These guys were like, a couple of guys were on tour because they were like 22, and I was like 18. And they were playing some real deal, fast
Bebop stuff.
stuff, changes, chord changes, going all over the place. And I said, man, I'm just gonna get up there. I'm gonna get up there and just feel it, and just let God take over my emotions. And I'm just gonna get up there. So I got up there, upperclassmen all playing, I get up and play. And I started doing some KG, and I closed my eyes, and the guys, they were like, stop! They stopped everything. All my friends, all the freshmen used to listen to the upperclassmen. And I walk up there playing the guy, they like completely embarrassed me, like, stop, pull your horn out of your mouth. And I held it in and walked out. I actually cried. Like I was like, I went to the practice room and I vowed that I was going to destroy all of those guys. All of y'all, each one of y'all, I'm killing y'all. And I went to the practice room and I practiced like 6 hours a day, and I was like a freak. I mean, I wake up at 5:30 in the morning. It was just like, the fire drove me. Man, I was like, oh. So I'd wake up at 5:30 in the morning and do 2 hours before my first class. At 8, do my classes. And then at lunch, I'd do 2 hours in between classes. And then after school, I'd do 2 hours. And then like, the most I did 12 hours. I don't know, Coltrane, I heard that Coltrane did 12 hours. So I was like, I'm gonna do 12 hours one day. I did 11, I didn't make it.
Yo, Kebbi, that's kind of weak sauce, man. You only practiced 11 hours? You couldn't make it to 12? That's kind of weak. No, I'm just kidding. That's damn inspiring, I must say. And hearing that makes me want to work harder. We'll see if I do, but I love hearing again like about people's journeys, because you think people just come out of the womb and they play and there they are and there they go and the career takes off and they're in a great band, but there's a lot of hard work and I guess failure and adversity to overcome, and Kebby has. Just a couple of more items that came out of that interview. I'm not going to play clips for all of this, but as I mentioned earlier, at the age of 22, Kebby did win the Jazz Instrumental Soloist category in the college division, the award from Downbeat Magazine. And he was not even in the jazz band at Howard at the time. And there was some kind of performance, and this is after he won the award, and he was not, going to be part of that performance until the president of the school demanded he be. So even though his school is sort of, I don't want to say holding him back, but like he sort of transcended even his college studies and curriculum to some degree. And that's impressive for sure. And another thing, Kebby talks about in this interview that his audition tape for Howard University was him playing live in church, which was also a big part of his upbringing, music in church. And I guess that's not what you're supposed to submit, and that's not what most people submit for music audition tapes for this university. I'm guessing it's just them playing some sort of solo in by themselves or in a room or something like that. I don't know. I'm not sure. But for whatever reason, this church audition tape actually became sort of a joke within Howard University circles, within the faculty. I guess this was funny and everyone would make fun of it. And Kebby talked about this. So again, just the idea of that journey that artists go on, and it's like, the whole like Michael Jordan getting getting cut by his high school team and hearing things like this, Kebby's audition being laughed at and seniors talking smack about him and not being included in the jazz band at Howard, and just like persevering through all of that. And just, it's inspiring to hear how people and artists keep going and just keep practicing to get better at their crafts. But let's play some music clips. Here's a clip of Kebby doing a saxophone solo on Love Has Something Else to Say, I think from 2012. This was from Tedeschi Trucks Band's own YouTube channel. So I'm going to play that. I'm not sure exactly what the location was, but I could dig that up for you, or you can find it yourself. But here you go. Love Has Something Else to Say, Kebby Williams sax solo. Dude, I miss live music. Those were the days. I remember that. No, for real, that just sounds great. Like, solos, instrumental solos, whether it's a saxophone or guitar or what have you, and what instrument it is. You can't really appreciate them entirely without hearing them within the context of the song themselves. But just like hearing, the 30-second, 40-second clip, gets me right back into that, live music mode and takes me to a whole nother place. Yeah, TTB and Kebbi are super talented. But let's hear Kebbi's one of his wild solos here on towards the outro of "Don't Know What It Means," going into the letter, of course. And this is from Austin City Limits 2015, December 14. I cannot, for the love of me, give credit to the YouTube channel where I took this from because it's some Russian name that I cannot pronounce. But that aside, here is don't know what it means, Kebbi on sax. That sounds great to me, and you could definitely hear some of the avant-garde style infused into that song and into that solo for sure. And I do see some of the, I guess, controversy in terms of in terms of how some fans react to Kebby's solos, which can be pretty out there for sure. But I like that he has an avant-garde style, a jazzy style, and it sort of can challenge the audience and challenge our own expectations. And that's something I like about TTB, is that they are going to challenge you in some regard, in some way throughout the night, and hit you with unexpected things. This next clip is, what do we got here? We got him playing a solo on Part of Me. This is from Hackensack, 1/29/2020. Ed Gendelman, Ed Tyre, is the taper for this one. So here you go. Kebbi doing a sax solo on Part of Me. Perhaps I should have warned you guys about the durations of some of the clips in advance, just to kind of give you the heads up. Maybe I'll do that moving forward. And as I work more different kinds of clips into these episodes. But yeah, I like how TTB has given Kebbi a solo on Part of Me. It seems that that's been a little bit more often lately in 2019 and 2020. I don't know if I recall a sax solo, at least not being used as often on that song, but it fits. It sounds great, and it's a groove for sure. And Derek is doing some pretty cool things in the background there as well. This next clip is Kebbi playing sax on a Midnight in Harlem introduction. This is just awesome. I'm talking about it before I even play it, but so moody, so atmospheric. I think those are the right words that I'm using. But here you go. Here's Kebbi, Midnight in Harlem intro. Dude, I love that. That just sets the tone, sets the mood for the upcoming song "Midnight in Harlem" that they will start momentarily after those intros. Um, yeah, I'm sort of at a loss for words almost because the music just really does take you to like a whole nother place and space and time, emotionally, spiritually, and it takes special musicians like Kebbi to achieve that. This next and final clip of this episode is going to be Kebbi on flute, doing the intro for Idle Wind, doing his best impression, of course, of the late great Kofi Burbridge, who we all love and miss dearly. But here's Kebbi doing his tribute, so to speak, on Idle Wind.
Can't run away.
It sounded like Kebbi wanted to keep going on the flute there, maybe. Maybe he should have. But yeah, you can just hear how talented this dude is on more than one instrument, which is pretty impressive. But I think that's pretty much all I got for this episode. Oh, you know what? Let me give credit to the last two clips. That was the Part of Me was from. I said Part of Me was from Hack and Sack, but the Midnight in Harlem intro was from Feb 29th of this year. The Ryman Show, that was also Ed Gendelman, the taper for that one. And the flute on Idlewind, I believe, was the same show. Also, the Ryman in Nashville, the 229 show. I just click on the first thing that's on the archive, or often do, or shows I've been to, or random shows. There's just so much music to choose from. I could have chosen many other clips, many more clips, and I will for future episodes with all different kinds of music and as I continue to do this thing. But that's the Kebbi Williams episode. I hope you enjoyed it, and I know I did Mark Rivers, Alicia Shakur and Mike Madison all in sort of one episode. But they will all get their own episodes, I'm sure, at one point or another, whether it's me doing a solo thing or talking to someone about them, or maybe even them themselves, the musicians themselves someday, but we'll see. But for now, check out Tedeschi Trucks Podcast on Instagram. That's at Tedeschi Trucks Podcast. And of course, remember to tap subscribe or follow on iTunes, Spotify, or via whichever way you listen to this show. Again, positive reviews on iTunes are greatly appreciated. Happy early birthday, Susan Tedeschi. Check out the Susan Tedeschi fan page on Facebook. And I appreciate you guys. You guys are awesome. Let's talk soon. Peace.